Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. How are you? I'm your pilot, Mr. Scotty, certified. Anyways, Esquire, yes. I was talking with a lady I know. She works down at, of course, my local Maverick, which is my second home away from home. Just such really good people that work down there, and to me, it's nothing new. Me, as you guys know, I was adopted at birth, and I was raised by an upper middle class family, and I gladly would have exchanged that scenario for a family that, say, had a lot less means and a lot more love and support, And throughout my youth and in adulthood, I've always kind of consorted with people, like on a daily basis, of less means. Decline the call. And, some people say, well, that's a form of narcissism because, you would be putting yourself in a position that, it makes you feel and look better than those around you. Not at all. I just happen to find that those are the realistic people, are the everyday people. The people that work in the banks or the cashiers in the gas stations or the waiters and waitresses in the restaurants that I eat in or wherever. They're just some of the best people, and they have, certainly the most life stories, and I find them the most interesting. And they're genuine, they don't put on these false airs and, but, with all the madness going on in the world right now, and we'll just start here with our country because I really can't speak for a lot of other countries at this time because I'm not there. But, the BLM, Antifa, riots, George Floyd, murders, police, all this. I'm not discounting it. I'm not saying that it's irrelevant. But what I am saying is that we emphasize way too much on that. And of course, the media fans it because the media wants us distracted with this kind of business. Hatred, violence, infringing on anarchy, bedlam, disorder, chaos, all the above, And I think we're missing some of the more important pictures and issues that we need to be talking about. In less than 2 months, Donald Trump is going to get reelected. How do I know this? Because I know this. Okay? Meet the new boss, same as the old boss, okay? Now, for all you liberals and all that, I'm sorry. I used to be, like I think I've said before, pretty liberal. And I always, even to this day, believe in getting your fair share, getting your dues. I'm much more apt to get behind a cause of a true underdog than get behind, big business and big pharma and corporate America and all that. No, that's not me. I mean, they've been in the driver's seat for far too long. And that's where I kind of want to go with this right now, is with all this distraction of violence and chaos and everything now is getting so political. A friend of mine posted a meme to my wall about, there's a cat scratching the wrist, a deep scratch, and the cat, apparently says to the human, what have we learned? Well, then somebody chimes in their comment, all cats are Democrats. What the hell, So the point is, we're so politically charged, it's disgusting. And I do talk to people around the world, and they're just like, man, you people are looking for reasons to fight with each other more than just natural occurring things. And I said, spot on. All right, Marcus, leave me alone. Yeah, it's like there's a lot of truth to that. We really are, grasping at straws, picking fights. It's like, truly, we're not satisfied until we're dissatisfied. But coming back to Maverick, the store I frequent and know the majority of the staff that manage and operate and run the place. One lady just quit. I wasn't on best terms with her, but apparently she just quit. And she's like the assistant manager, one of the chief cheeses. And she learned that she got a 20-cent an hour raise on her annual. 20 cents an hour. You might as well just not give me anything. I mean, that changes nothing, in the scheme of things. Nothing at all. And this store does somewhere in the neighborhood of $1.5 to $2.25 million a year in sales between fuel and concessions, inside the store. $1.5 to $2.25 million steady over the last 4 years. And this is just one location. Now, Maverick, if you guys were curious, they're not franchised. They're all corporate. So every single Maverick is corporate owned. No Mohammed Al-Shahij, owns one, or Sam Smith and Company own one. No, it's all corporate. So they can really dictate things. And here in the great state of Utah, as I overlook the skyline, it's much more timid here today. Thank you. It's showing 71 degrees outside, so definitely more seasonal. Utah follows the guidelines of the federal minimum wage, which I think is somewhere around $7.35, $7.85, something an hour. Of course, as you know, all 50 states can indoctrinate any state minimum wage, like, say, Washington State. They have, I think, the second highest state minimum wage of anywhere in America, which is quite impressive. I think it's like 13 and it's 15 in King County, Seattle. I think it's going to be 15 across the board by the end of next year or something. But it's, really high. Well, you got people here at the Maverick who've worked there for 2 years that are making like 11 and a quarter an hour. And they started out at like $9.75, $10 or something, So, but Utah, again, it adheres to the federal minimum wage. Utah as a state has never adopted a state minimum wage, as it were. Minimum wage is federal is $7.35. Utah's minimum wage is $10.50. No, they've never done anything like that. Okay, which, if I don't pay attention, I'm going to miss my exit. So much for the Mormons being liberal spenders. Yeah, right. It's all, here it's truly aimed at special interests. And Utah is one of the most strongest self-sustaining economies in the country. I mean, if Utah decided tomorrow to secede from the nation and become its own nation or sovereignty, it could do it. Texas and California are two other states that could do it. But Utah, hands down, could do that if they so chose. Okay? So that really shows you the strength of the true economy here in Utah, that we could easily sustain ourselves without any government subsidies or financing. If that in fact was the agenda, if that's what we wanted to do. I'm going to pull off here for a second. But yeah, so when you look at something like that, it really puts things into perspective of how strong Utah is, and really how strong our nation is across the board. We're not a weak country. We like to play weak. We like to play possum. But here's the deal. If we got our act together in this country, okay, and just said, okay, there's going to be a new minimum federal wage in the United States, and we're going to double it. double it. So let's say it is $7.35. Okay, the new minimum wage is $14.70. Well, we'll just round it off to 15. That seems to be the hot number. $15 an hour is the new federal minimum wage. Now, states, of course, can go higher than that if they elect to, but that's going to be the new minimum wage. All right, at $15 an hour, whatever your skill set is, full-time, part-time, that's where things start. Well, I think truly you would see less revolving doors of employees, but I don't know if that's necessarily what the employer wants, because they also get incentives from the government that the more people they employ within a fiscal year, the more tax breaks and shelters and incentives they have. So let's just say Maverick goes through 45 employees annually, and it takes, 8 to 10 to run the place on a 24-hour scale. All right, well, 36 of those 45, that's 80%, didn't pan out in the first year. Only 9 are still there from the beginning of that year when the fiscal started, and then we kept the numbers. So 36 of the 45 employees have been fired or just blew themselves out and quit because it's like, this is ridiculous, this is slave labor. If we increased minimum wages and we got this, tank the Obamacare and Trump's meddling with it and all that, we'll just go universal health care. So now we have universal health care in this country, and everybody's getting paid a minimum, full or part-time, irregardless of a skill set, $15 an hour. Okay? Now all of a sudden people are starting to be able to pay their bills. People are starting to address their health problems without concerns of some ginormous medical bill coming to them, or huge copays or whatever. Do you think possibly that would quell some of the violence and dissatisfaction and everything that's going on in this country? I would say it's a great start. You folks agree with me? Just nod your head. But yeah, I think that would be a great place to start. Get wages up to a livable wage and universal health care. For those, say, making less than $125,000 a year. Okay? I don't think that's going to be a shift to where people will aspire to make less so they can get these stipends and benefits. No, I think people would strive to do even more. But my thinking is something has got to happen here. So maybe we should spend less time with BLM and Antifa and trying to create division and animosity between us in this country, and really go after the powers that be and say, look, we need livable wages and we need affordable health care along the lines of universal health care. Because I don't know anybody in any country that has universal health care that is screaming and yelling about it, or like trying to flee that country and go to another country or come here to get their help or their meds. Right? You ever heard RX America? No, but we have heard RX Canada. We'll leave it there. Have a great afternoon.